So everybody's favorite breeding process, right? So um, when I before you start breeding, right, let's be very clear. We don't want to end up with birds being on egg or chicks and falling sick. So before you start your breeding process, or once the birds are in the regular conditioning stage, you would start giving them, I'm going with very basic stuff. Scat is just to make sure that you don't find, basically the parents that feed chicks are prone to get arsenic mites as well as the chicks, so you get scat. Coccidius is something that, when the bird starts feeding more of egg and other extra addox to feed their chicks, it tends to create, sometimes when if the chicks don't need much, the parent birds seem to have more of content in the digestive system, and at times, they develop coccidius because of too much of congestion as well. So you don't want birds to get into these conditions. So do these one or two basic treatments. When I say these are not disease or infections that have come to the bird, this is a precaution. So I would prefer to do it for, like, 3 days. Scat is just one off. Coccidius I would go with three, unless or until I know that the bird is impacted. I would just go with 3 days. And then basic supplements, I would like, when I say basic supplements, it's once again your live 52s or brotons or something that you give to get the bird's immune system back in shape. That's the one that is required. And when you want to pair, pick the right birds. I've seen people put a yellow male to a green female or a red female. So once again, it's my logic. I really don't want to break the lineage. I believe the birds are beautiful as they are. We don't want to land up with creating too many mixture. When you have chapatis, I think you prefer to have chapatis alone. You don't want to have chapatis and your dal and your rice all mixed together. It kind of doesn't give a real good appearance, as well as it doesn't taste well. So similarly, when you mix too many combinations, you kind of end up getting all variegated birds and other stuff. But the best way is to pair proper birds that you feel will give you the right outcomes, and identify the males and females that you feel are properly healthy and are good to go. And I really, with specific to canaries, there are cross breeds. People breed them with goldfinches and create mules and all that stuff, which I really don't encourage, because I don't really see what benefit it does. Sometimes people want to produce a goldfinch through this, or some canaries through this particular method. But to me, the even if you produce one, the end result of pairing the mule that you have got will definitely be a infertile bird, or a bird that doesn't give you proper outcomes, because nature takes the better of, I don't think we can outsmart nature either ways, right? In nature knows which ones to pick, which ones to survive. So when you pick them, I've myself seen breeders put mules to produce some good offsprings and other stuff, but they've landed up getting most likely either mules, or come up come sorry infertile eggs, or chicks die in the egg, or just getting one chick, which is really, if nobody in the world knows what it belongs to. So we don't want to land up in that particular stage. And once you've done this, once you've picked the birds, you need to condition the birds, to bring them into breeding condition. Now, this is a very keen topic that I've noticed, that I want people to be aware of before you start breeding your birds. With respect to canaries, right? And once again, let me do a basic comparison. When we talk about finches, our classic known finch is the zebra finch, and people tend to expect that I just throw two birds into a cage, give them a nest box, and they breed like that. With canaries, that is not how it works. It's not like you just put two birds and they start mating, and that's not how it works. You need to get the birds into condition first of all before you get into a breeding season. And then usually what I've seen, right, that was another question that came up with the breeding season. Whenever rain comes, even though my birds, say suppose I've just put two birds together for breeding, and it's uh, daylight is the one that triggers the canary's breeding time. Once the daylight is almost close to 17 or above 17 hours, that's when canaries come into breeding. Might be if when the daytime light is higher for us during summer, which we feel is not good, but my birds have absolutely done good when I've bred them in summers. I've not had any challenge with them. Once they've perfectly settled into our climate, it is not at all a problem. So, but even if I've paired a bird, and say suppose they are about to start their nest building and all that stuff is there, and if rain triggers, I've seen birds go into molt. Rain is a trigger that creates in canaries, that triggers a molting process by itself. But there are different molds that happen to a bird. There is a severe mold, there is a basic mold, where the basic mold is just that the loose feathers go off and the bird, it doesn't take much time to recover of the mold. But once in a year, the bird will definitely go through a huge mold. That happens when the climate is persistently cold, and it's rainy. That's when the bird the bird knows that's the time they shouldn't be breeding. They go into molting stages. So pick the birds and start doing the conditions. What's the way you condition the bird, right? Start increasing the quantity of egg food. Now, my preferred choice always, this is something that I work out every day. First thing I do is to boil my eggs. That's how my day starts. You boil the egg. I prepare my own egg food. I really don't prefer commercially available egg foods, or even preserving my egg foods is something I, unless or until I'm going to be away for a week or two and somebody in my house has to do a substitute for myself. I don't really preserve my egg food. I just give them fresh, and you know i I just want to do it that way. It keeps things simple. So once you start giving or increasing the quantity of egg food, you also have to soak hemp, flax, and all these. The regular seeds that I use are hemp and flax. You can also try, if you have oats or other, moong dal and things like that. But hemp and flax are the key triggers. You have to soak them overnight and consistently feed them, along with what feeding the soaked seed. Or whenever you change your bird's seed mix, add wheat germ oil, and all these three combinations are the best ones that have brought birds into condition. Now, what happens, right? When you do all these three, you would start, if say suppose if the males and females are in two separate cages, once you start feeding them, you will start seeing that your males starting to hump, or starting to practice their singing. And that's the good start, that says that they are starting to come into condition. You can give them greens, like I said. If it is summers, you can give them one greens per day, different varieties. And or if you can also give it in alternative days and replace it with some fruits or vegetables, that also helps. The birds really, particularly canaries, like to chew on these vegetables and fruits than the regular finches. So let's see how to get started. Now we've started conditioning, and we've seen, like I said, 14 hours or more, but I've seen close to 17 hours is what the bird really likes. Now you will start seeing your male canaries singing, and usually the males come into condition before the females do. So and the way they do it is they drop their feathers and they kind of twist their body a bit, and they start singing really harsher. So the more the harsh they sing, it tells them that the more better they are coming into conditions. And females usually start picking up on any material, any and all material available in their cages, and start building their nest, so that they can get going with their nest building activities. So upon seeing both these things, you understand that the birds have come into condition, and this is something that people have to do. I do it as a basic practice. So trim the vent of the birds. Basically, canaries have a bit of fluffy hair around their vent, and if I some birds I really let nature take the cost. For example, the normal yellows and reds, I really don't trim them, honestly. But specifically for the Gloucesters, what I've seen, which is more of a fluffy bird, which has got more hair around the vent area, there even though you see the mating behavior, the fertility kind of decreases. So what I do, I kind of trim their vent for both and females, so that the mating process is successful and you land up getting fertile eggs. Okay. So once you've seen this behavior, once you've seen that the male is singing, the female is starting to pick things, the first step is to get a cage where you have a divider and you can keep the males and females separately. Now, either of these nest boxes you can use for your females, and the nest box goes on the female side of the side of the cage. And once you add the wicker box, what usually happens is that the males tend to come and start preening the female, or they try, and whenever you give them egg food, they'll start picking up the egg food and start feeding the female. All these is the regular process that you'll find. This is regularly how they start. That's a good sign that the male and female are compatible. They're starting to get gel. They get along well, is the indication that you get. Now, once you start seeing the male feeding the female, you can remove the divider, and you have to, I would say, observe the birds for a day, just because I've seen some males that tend to become really really aggressive during this mating process, and they really kind of attack the females like crazy. So they need a bit more time to get settled along with the female. So once step 4 fails, you kind of go back to your step 1 again by dividing and keeping them into adjacent stage. You don't continue off with the same and say, okay, let me push. It's like pushing the bird to breed. Don't do that. Just separate them and let them do their own stuff. Let's start it again after, like, give it a week or two, or give it after a week, try and reintroduce at some stage. You will find that the male and female get along well. What I've noticed is whenever I've opened up the divider, the first thing that happens is the mating. So once that mating is complete, by the time the female also has started building something, they usually they are not really a huge nest builders. They kind of use newspapers, whatever, some normal threads, and coconut fiber, whatever is available is used. But one behavior that is very bad with them is, once you start that the nest is filled up, or it's come to a certain amount of an extent where you feel that it's complete, I would remove any newspapers or anything that is placed in the bottom of my trays. This is just purely because they tend to kind of overload and keep building upon their nest. Sometimes they cover up their eggs as well. So once you know that the size is, the leg is, the mating is done, the nest is almost complete, you kind of remove all the extra nesting material so that they can focus on laying the egg and incubating it, rather than continuing to building on the nest. So once you've seen that, once the mating is done, then you will find the female lay one egg a day, and probably the max I've seen is four. I've seen 4 or 5 eggs being laid, but the max the number of chicks that I've been able to get successfully is 4 so far. I know that in abroad people get even 5 chicks. I don't know if there is anything special they do, but 4 chicks is the best I've managed to get so far. So 14 days of incubation is what the female will do, and after day 14 you will find that the chicks hatch. Caring for chicks is a keen. This is something that people usually miss out on. After the chicks hatch, they have their egg sac or the yolk attached to their belly, and that keeps the chicks nourished for 24 hours. So you don't really have, or the female or the male doesn't feed the chicks for the first 24 hours. It's only the next day that the bird starts feeding. Now, once the chick has hatched, you will find the female consistently sitting on it. And what I've observed is, it's very easy, right? So I know that the bird is hatched today. The next day, what I do, just to confirm that I don't have to really think about hand feeding or giving the chicks to another bird or something, I just give them the regular egg food, their apples and some greens, and I just sit for 5-10 minutes to observe the behavior. So it's the male who starts off doing this process, where he comes and picks on the egg food, and he'll first pick on the egg food, then the greens, and then he'll add some more seeds, and then have a bit of water, which he'll go and in turn feed the female. And what I've noticed is, for the first 3 to 4 days, the male feeds the female, and the female in turn feeds the chicks, unless or until the female is not able to completely cover the chicks by sitting on them. She tends to do this by her own, and then they are grown to a certain extent, like day 3 or 4. That's when the male starts directly helping the female by feeding the chicks, feeding them directly. Until then, it's the vice versa that's done. And after 3 weeks, you will see that the chicks will start fledging on their own. This is where it gets a bit tricky. You will find that the female has already started nesting again. There might be eggs after they've fledged. So give it some time, and after they've grown to a certain extent, the female kind of drops doing the activity of feeding them. It's the male who is fully involved in this particular activity. So then the male kind of continues to feed the younger ones that are fledged. Once you start seeing that the smaller ones have, or the young ones have started eating on their own, it's time to separate. I would say, you don't want, once again, the male comes into condition by seeing the female starts building the nest. So you don't want the male to attack the chicks. So you kind of go back and say, that's the time you pick out them, or you place them in a cage, like a divider kind of a thing, where they can beg and kind of get the food from the male through the dividers itself. Now, there are certain things that I've heard from my fellow breeders, like they use these some basic hand feeding formula, and they use some these what do they call them, the cerelacs and other stuff that the babies that we feed our children, they liquidize it and they give it to the birds. And some people feel that the younger one's digestion system does not support the eggs. But honestly, I've not seen that happen to me. I've always kept it with egg food. And the mother knows how to digest it, and she gives it to them the right way, in a way that they can completely digest. But there are people who prefer the other way. I'm not saying it's wrong. I prefer to keep it with egg food, and I've not seen any, my Gloucesters or my agates or my red and the other varieties. I've not seen anybody lose chicks or chicks die off because of egg food. So I really don't support on that theory.